All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some tracking stuff today. Now, this will be a very plug and play heavy module because I think this is like probably the most extensive guide you're going to find anywhere on tracking. How to track for Google, how to track for Instagram, Facebook, iOS 14 patches, what we're personally doing, attribution, custom conversion, standard, like it's insane. Right, so I think I've created 5 or 6 plug and plays for today's module, and there's just so much detail in there. Is this going to be the most sexy, the most exciting module? No, but it's very important, and you being able to know this stuff will mean that you will be able to not only, because everything I'm going to show you is how to get great results for your clients. You're actually going to be able to discern what was you, what was not you, what's working, what's not working, and I'll be honest. A lot of times, even very experienced advertisers, they don't know how to do that. So today's module is going to give you a massive, massive competitive advantage. And on that note, let's get into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, all about tracking. Now, in today's teaching, we are going to go over what is a Facebook pixel and how does it work, how to install a Facebook pixel from creation to website, plug and play, which events to install, how to use the events manager, how to test your events and troubleshoot your tracking, depth of custom conversion, what is conversion API and how to set it up. Once again, that's another plug and play. iOS 14 plug and play, UTM parameters to keep tracking your purchases. So once again, I think those are 2 plug and plays within there. And then I also give you a basically Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Facebook ad. Like this is basically how to sort of simplify, do a little bit more front end work, but then to simplify your tracking as an advertiser. Now, what is the Facebook pixel and how does it work? Now, the way Facebook will put it is, and I quote, a piece of code for your website that lets you measure, optimize, and build audiences for your ad campaigns. So really the Facebook pixel is essentially the eyes of Facebook on your website. It is what lets Facebook know what the people that are coming through the ads are doing. So this is the way that Facebook knows how many people, bought through the ad, how many added to cart, how many submitted their information, how many booked a call. It takes all that information and sends it back to Facebook, and then that's basically what appears on your dashboard. Now, the way that this is done is via a cookie, a piece of code that runs on your browser that stores and sends information every time an event happens. It also allows you to create custom audiences of people that have visited your website or done a specific action. Now, we'll go over this a little later down the line on the retargeting and audience modules. Now, all of this information is not only used for you, it's also used by Facebook to train their models and their algorithms to know and understand customer behavior better. What they like, what they don't like. And then basically what it does is it puts it into buckets of people interested in certain things. All right, it starts to build heuristics. Now that is why whenever you want to buy something, you see so many ads within that category. The more information Facebook collects, the better they will be at delivering ads. So really, all in all, their incentives are aligned because Facebook wants you to spend more money on ads, so they try to keep you happy, trying to give you what you want. Now, with that being said, this won't make up for a store or a funnel that doesn't convert or an offer that people don't want, okay? Yes, is Facebook a very powerful tool? Of course, but at the end of the day, it always comes down to the product, the offer, and we will also get onto that in later modules. Now, real quick, I don't actually know if, I was debating whether to put this in or not, because it's just like, this is basically just a debate that, fucking Facebook advertising nerds such as myself and my team, we have between us. But maybe it gives you a bit of context as to how people actually view the pixel, because there is a lot of debate on sort of the use case of the pixel, okay? On one hand, there's people who say the Facebook pixel is key. Basically, a high quality pixel has good data, meaning it's filled with buyers, people with buying power that are interested on the specific offer that you're running, okay? So these people believe you have to really take care of your pixel because Facebook uses the data on your pixel to optimize your ads, meaning that the better data you have in it, the better people they will find and the more purchases you'll have, or leads, or whatever your conversion is. So this also considers that if you get bad data, the performance of your ads will drop considerably, okay? So really the idea here is if you bring bad leads or bad traffic to your pixel, then that'll actually kind of ruin the pixel, okay? Now, we actually consulted this one company, I think it was almost a year ago at this point, and basically they were having amazing results. Then something odd happened. One day their checkout didn't work properly, and it was only for about 12 hours. And since then, their results were never the same and they could never recover, okay? They are adamant, they are sure that this is the reason now because the pixel has bad data as their customers weren't able to complete their purchases. Now, I don't know how true this is, but it is an interesting thought experiment. So if you want to be on the safe side, this means that you should really care about the quality of your traffic and, for example, not let in bad quality traffic of non-buyers. Now, this also kind of supports our earlier theses of only optimizing for conversions and selecting the event you most want, like purchases or leads or calls. Now, this school of thought also entails that if you have more than one offer, service or product, you should have a pixel per offer and not mix pixels up, because a person that buys one product is very different from one that buys, a different product. Okay. And that's what a lot of advertisers do, is they actually have separate pixels for separate products. Now, if you're running an e-commerce store, that's not as necessary. But for example, two products, if there's like a high ticket product and a low ticket product, and they really are two worlds apart, then as I said, what a lot of advertisers will do is they'll actually have two separate pixels. So that's one school of thought. Okay. And by the way, as I said, like my team and I have had debates on this, and we've always kind of land somewhere in the middle, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But the other school of thought is that, it doesn't, there's not much importance on the pixel, okay? Because the pixel is simply a reporting tool and is a way of giving Facebook data. Okay, you could argue that in this scenario, the optimization happens on the ad level, and really all the pixel is just a reporting tool, okay? So we also have stories that defend this thesis and consider that a lot of the times the performance can be flipped from bad to good just by improving your ads, copy, funnel, structure, audiences, etc. Still by using the same pixel. Okay, so these people went from having bad results, with a long track record of a really shitty pixel, right? Or not great pixel data, and then they changed their copy, their funnel, their ad structure, all these things, and then they have had great results since then. Okay, so there's really two sides of the story. For me personally, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And although I do believe that the pixel is involved, in optimization, and the better it is, the better the ads will perform. I think that's, you can't really argue with that. I also believe that it's not a massive deal. It's not as big a deal as some people believe, and I'm not going to necessarily move mountains just to get right. I'm not going to start a new pixel and spend some time seasoning it and all this stuff. Okay. Because at the end of the day, there's better ways to spend your time to improve your client results. Now, let's talk about how to install a pixel. So very, very easy. You can check the all about tracking plug and play, and you can see some high level information. Okay. Now, if you click here, you can see, this is actually from the website section, you'll actually be able to find on here. So if you just click this will open up another plug and play, and that'll show you exactly how to install the Facebook Pixel. Now, when you install the Facebook Pixel, you have some options of which events to install. Okay. So as you saw in the plug and play, we use events to track people that did a desired action. We map out all the important actions of our funnel with these events. So for example, view content, for e-commerce businesses, view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchases. For a lead funnel, it would be something like view content, lead, or complete registration. Okay, a much simpler one. So you can see right here, these are some standard events. Okay, these are some standard events. Now here is a breakdown of how to use the events manager. And then finally, how to test your events and troubleshoot tracking. And I am actually going to go back to the slide presentation to show you this. So as you saw in the plug and play, we use events to track people that did a desired action. So we map out the important ones. So I kind of mentioned, for e-commerce, what the flow would be, for lead gen, what the flow would be. Now, quite simply, an event is triggered once a person lands on a specific page where the code is located. Now, this can be as simple or as complicated as you want. And as you'll see in the iOS 14 plug and play, we now have a 7 event limit, and you'll choose their priority. Okay, so you only have 7 events that you can use. So, you kind of need to be a little bit more wise there. So in terms of which events to install, you can install whichever standard event you want from this list. And as I said, in the plug and play, you can actually find like the full list, right? But you can see right here, add payment info, add to cart, add to wish list, complete registration, contact, customize product, donate, find location, initiate checkout, and lead. So those are some of the standard events. Now, I'll kind of real quick want to talk about the events manager, because as you see in the plug and play, Facebook has a section called Events Manager, and here you'll find everything you need to know about Pixel and its activity. Okay, so On the overview section, so if you actually click on the events manager, so you go top left, you click sort of the main screen menu or the wider menu that shows everything, you'll be able to find events manager in there. I believe it's right above Pixel or right below it. But anyways, on the overview section, you'll see the events that have been triggered in the Pixel. If you've just installed the Pixel, this will most likely be empty or near empty. So keep in mind that the data takes a while to get to it. Where it says Pixel/conversions API, you'll find a list of the events where they're being triggered from, either browser, which means it's the Pixel, or server, which means conversion API, and how many times they've been triggered. So you'll also find some warnings that will tell you where you're going wrong in your tracking. Now, in this account, you can see we have some information missing on an event that is affecting the purchase event, or like the purchase conversion, okay? Now, this is something that is not of concern, as the volume tracked by the conversions API is minimum. Refer to the module iOS Move to Privacy and Implications for more information on this topic. Okay, so you can refer to the module that I still need to record. I've titled it iOS Move to Privacy and Implications, and this will give you a little bit more information on this topic. Now, when you click on any event, you will see a graph that charts how many events of that nature have happened each day. Okay, and you can see an example right here. This information will help you troubleshoot your tracking. Don't take this information as a way to gauge progress, as this is not only from the ads, but from all traffic on the website. Okay, so that's very important. You understand this. When you go to the events manager and you see all these events, it is going to show you all the events. It's not just going to show you what has happened from the ads. It's just going to show you on the website in general. Okay, so you can be concerned when this goes down to 0 and you will need to check if there's issues with your tracking, or simply no one is going to the page where you installed that event. So like you can see right here, very steady sort of flow of add to carts, right? Now, if let's say one of these days there was, it just went all the way down to 0, or like so close it almost looked like 0, then we would know, okay, maybe there's an issue on the website or the funnel side, okay? But everything here looks pretty steady. There's peaks, there's troughs. So all of this seems pretty steady and is not really a cause for concern. Now, if you want to test your events or troubleshoot your tracking, Facebook actually runs automatic diagnostics and will tell you what you need to take care of or fix. They have simple guides for each problem, and they are varied, so you can ask on the community if you were not able to resolve something basically based on this. Now, next up, I'm actually going to talk about something which to me is a little bit more important, and that's actually making sure that the events you installed were properly installed, and how to actually verify it, and also different ways of troubleshooting your tracking when you see something not working. Now, as you know, an event triggers once a user loads a page on their website, but it can also be a button. That can also be an event. So think, for example, like an add to cart button, but that doesn't actually usually send you to a new page. So to test that the right events are being triggered on the pages you want them to be triggered, you can use the test events tool on the event manager, okay? So here what you do is you put your client's website in there and open the website, then interact with the website and check that the events are properly working. And they should show up something like the examples I've shown you. Now, as you can see, we interacted with the website and tested the view content, and we also pressed add to cart, and you can see it was correctly triggered. Very important. This won't work if you have an ad blocker or a browser that blocks cookies or tracking by default. So things like Brave Browse, stuff like that. Okay. For example, I know that most of my team uses Firefox for ads, and it wouldn't work because of that, because of the blocking feature. But that is probably the easiest way to actually test your events and troubleshoot the tracking. Another way is the Facebook Pixel Helper. Now, the Facebook Pixel Helper is a Chrome browser extension that runs in the background and detects the pixel on the site. Now, this tool was developed by Facebook themselves. There are similar tools or on other browsers, but they're not developed by Facebook, so I can't attest for the efficacy or the security. Okay. Now, here is what we do with the Facebook Pixel Helper. Once you've added the extension to your browser, it will appear like the circle I've shown. Then you're pretty much all set. The way to use it is simple. You visit any site and it will tell you if it has a pixel. Most sites that have a pixel have advertised before, and you can actually use this as a clue to know when prospecting if that company has been running ads, or at least has had an interest in running ads. When you visit a page with 1 pixel or more, the extension will be colored blue, and when you click on it, you can actually see the IDs of the pixel that are in there. Now, after installing the pixel, you can use the tool to make sure it was well installed and is now firing on the website. Once again, another important point, the Facebook Pixel Helper does not work with ad blockers or browsers that block cookies or trackers. Now, when you interact with the website and start triggering events, they will also show up on the Pixel helper. As you can see in this example, the initiate checkout event was triggered, and this is because I loaded the checkout page on a store. Now, if you actually click on the drop down of the event, you will see something that's known as a payload. And this is some of the information that's being sent back to Facebook. So it also sends the click ID, the user ID, and some others that are not being displayed right now or aren't shown on the Facebook Pixel. What is important to note is it is correctly picking up the items I'm going to check out with its value and currency. If you are not seeing the correct data, it means you need to fix it. So refer back to your code and see if everything is well set up. Also, another thing to note is that the value, when it's not custom, it's actually defaulted by Shopify, and it's also not going to include the shipping costs. Now, let's talk about the death of custom conversions, because there were a time where custom conversions were popular. Essentially, they counted how many people loaded a specific URL and would also refer back to ads to know which ad came from. So very, very simple sort of a method of attribution. Hey, someone came on this website URL. Have they seen an ad? And basically that would be the link. Okay. Now, in terms of the death of custom conversions, you can still use them, right? You can still create them by going into the create button and actually selecting create custom conversions, but I would not recommend it. Okay. Now, when it comes to death of custom conversions, you can still technically use them. Okay. You just create them by going to the create button, selecting create custom conversions. Then all you have to do is name your conversion and put a description on it, select your pixel, put the URL of the page. You can give them a category, for example, purchase to this upsell conversion example. Then you can also give it a category. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. You just hit create and that's a custom conversion. There are a few reasons why me and my team are not fans of it, but the main one is that it doesn't really solve anything. Okay. Like there's actually no use case for it. Okay. Unless you're dealing with an extremely complex funnel, they have no room in terms of strategy. And that's because they come with many downsides, and I'll list them for you right here. First of all, you can't sort them. Okay, you can't sort them on the columns on the dashboard. It's also not very accurate because it tracks every single payload, and it's not optimal because it doesn't work well for conversion campaigns. You know, as I mentioned with the first point, they're a pain in the ass to use because you can't sort them on the columns dashboard. And the second is that they're not accurate because they track every single page load. So technically, someone could reload the page 3 times and that's counted as 3 conversions. And the last thing is they don't really work well when it comes to conversion campaigns. Like if you have a conversion campaign and optimize for custom conversions, it just doesn't work as well as having a conversion campaign and optimizing for standard events. Okay, we've tried it and we've seen many students make this mistake and improve their results after changing to standard conversions or standard events. So ladies and gents, keep it simple. So what is the conversion API and how do we set it up? Let's go to the next plug and play. So basically, since the iOS 14 update on Apple devices, Facebook has been forced to adapt the way they do tracking. And with that, a lot of changes and new things have come up for advertisers. Basically, without getting too technical, one of the major changes that Facebook is enforcing, encouraging users to adopt, is the usage of Conversion API. The Conversion API is an alternative to standard tracking method, the Facebook Pixel. Essentially, the way that the old Facebook Pixel works is by inserting a little piece of code in all of your website pages, which then tracks the user and the behaviors on your website. And this is known as third-party tracking because it's not your own website that is actively tracking the users, but rather an extension of Facebook who is tracking users through your website. Now, with the Conversion API, the dynamic here changes. The Conversion API is a way to track the users from a server side and then send this data back to Facebook. So basically, to put it simply, Facebook, right, has this clause out and it can track all the information here, right? So clause here, and then it sends it back to Facebook. Okay, so it's almost like a two-way path. Like Facebook, you install the pixel, it tracks, and then it retrieves it and then brings it back to Facebook. Now with this other way is you actually track on the server side. So you actually track on your website side, and then you give permission to send that to Facebook. Like here, like Facebook is basically just, basically almost planting a seed and then, harvesting that yield. Whereas this way, you're doing it on the server side. So you're going to do it on the Shopify side, the Wix side, et cetera, and then you're going to give permission to send it back to Facebook. Okay. So obviously all these plug and plays, that's where I put, the breadth of the detail, because, there's really no point in me reading every single thing. But you can see right here how to set up the Conversion API. So this is how you do it through Shopify partners, the integration. Okay. And this is a step-by-step, tutorial. Here's how you do it through WordPress. Okay, once again, a step-by-step tutorial. And if there's ever any changes, then that will be reflected in the plug and play. That's the beauty of the plug and play, is yeah, we are updating this real time to make sure that it's got all the latest and greatest information. And even one small little technical change, we can always implement it very, very quickly. So yeah, as I said, you can see right here, that's how to do it with Shopify. That's how to do it through the API with WordPress. And quite simply, that is what the conversion API is, and that is how to set it up. Now, moving on to the next thing, which is the iOS 14 plug and play. Let's go through that right now. So here are just some ninja hacks to make the iOS 14, or sorry, to dampen the effects of the iOS 14 update. First things first, verify your domain. And you can just see right here how to do it, why it is important, etc., etc. Next thing, configure web events, okay? So you'll come here, you'll go to Events Manager, and you're gonna configure your web events, and this is exactly how to do it. And I also explain why it is important. So those are two things that everyone should do. I mean, just as the update rolled out, this is pretty much the first thing that we did with all of our clients, just to make sure the effects of the iOS 14 update weren't as intense. Now, moving on to Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, and Facebook ads, plug and play. So this is, for those of you guys who want to know about how to track Google ads, here is how you do it. Now, you can see right here, we have the Google Tag Manager, okay? So now technically you could just set up the Google tracking, but what we like to do here, and this is basically an easy way to explain it, Google Tag Manager behaves like a bucket, okay? So what this does is it holds all of your pixels, tags, events from Facebook ads, Google Analytics, and Pinterest ads, TikTok ads, etc., all in one place, and then injects them onto your pages. This way you avoid having to install each one of these tags individually. So let's say for a client, you wanna track Facebook, Google, TikTok, and Snapchat, right? And you have pixels, and each one is kind of different. Each platform uses sort of a different name for what they call the tracking feature, but basically what they are pixels, right? So rather than having to install 4 pieces of code in every website, what this does is it just rolls it up into one. So this is known as Tag Manager. So you're going to set up a Google Tag Manager account. Okay, you're going to paste in your Facebook pixel stuff. You're going to paste in your Google stuff, and that is all explained right here, how to actually create that. And then it'll also show you, for example, how we'd actually put that in. So rather than here having your Facebook pixel ID and then your Google ID and then your Snapchat, here you just put your Tag Manager and it just rolls everything into one. Okay, now, before we install your pixel and tags with the Google Tag Manager, we must set up the triggers. This is where you define in which pages you want pixels, tags, and events to fire. Okay, now I explain this in great detail right here. This is quite lengthy. And then you can see right here, setting up tags. Now this is specifically for Google. You can see the base code, etc., etc. We run through standard events again. Publishing, okay, how to do that. Verifying and troubleshooting any issues you have right there, we will help you out. And here are some bonus sections. So for clients, for some clients, maybe they don't have Google Analytics. So here is how you'd actually set up Google Analytics and how you would add Google Analytics to their website along with Facebook tracking, Google tracking, and everything else that's included. And then here is a bit of other useful documentation. How to install the Tag Manager, okay, on Wix, how to install a Tag Manager on WordPress, and how to install a Tag Manager on Shopify as well. Anyways, going back, and we have one more plug and play. Now, I warn you, for anyone who's just starting out in advertising, maybe just don't look at this. Basically what this is true tracking. Now this is a system. So we have, this is one of the systems we use to make sure that iOS 14 really didn't affect us pretty much at all. Well, I guess for the first 30, 60 days, everyone was kind of figuring out, and we did have a slump in reporting, but since then, everything has been fine. So what this is true tracking, okay? This is true tracking, and this is how we combat iOS 14, or at least one of the ways that we combat iOS 14. Now, this is a very, very long tutorial. So if you already have a couple clients, this will probably make sense to you, and this will show you exactly how to use true tracking to combat all that. For those of you guys who are looking to get your first 1 or 2 clients, or for example, especially people with who are working with local business clients, not working with e-com businesses, not working with info product businesses, software companies, etc., etc. Maybe you can read through this if you want, but it's not something that you really need to worry or stress about. yeah, this is definitely something that I was debating where to throw in here, but I just decided for those of you guys who want to use it, it is insanely useful. It's one of those where it's like if you know, like if you see this right now and you're like, holy shit, like I can't believe they put this in this is so useful, then it's probably worth it for you. If you're looking at this and you're like, actually I don't know how to apply this, then probably just go with your gut and just leave it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the action step for today is download the Pixel Helper and go through your favorite online stores and funnels, learn which kind of events they have set up, and verify that they're probably set up with the Pixel Helper. So obviously if you have clients, then maybe you've done this and maybe that doesn't really apply to you. But if you have no clients, then actually just go on some smaller brands and just see, like click around and just see the Pixel Helper firing and see what information it's sending back and as different events are being fired. So this kind of gives you a really good context and really good idea as to the function of the Pixel and the function of tracking. So that's action step number one. And also action step is just make sure you go through all those plug and plays. You might need to reread it a few times. I get it. It's quite dense. It's quite heavy, but I wanted to put stuff in here for absolute beginners and then people who are spending 10K a day for some of their clients. So I hope this was useful to you. And on that note, I will catch you guys in the next one.